Right, this is another one on health. Here we go. I haven't put the date, but it's probably around the 70s because it's rather an old typeface. Medicine today, amongst professional practitioners, is only a progression from the 17th century medicine, which harmed more often than it cured. Although a lot of hospitals used to have herb gardens, like the one in London, the Royal Hospital, which we've done away with. And we should be going back to that. We're using all these horrible chemical medicines now. In a purely chemical and mechanical sense, extremely clever men have used basic knowledge to give people new hearts, livers, kidneys, etc., with quite dramatic results, but always at tremendous expense, and all too often the patient lives a little while and then dies. Acupuncture is regarded as a mysterious skill that the Chinese have perfected and used with great success on their own people, and now other religions, other nations are trying to use it, but it's not why it heals. But it's not known why it heals some and makes others extremely ill, because it can drain your energy. No two people are the same, and therefore what works very well as a cure for one person proves to be the reverse for another. Ridiculous books are now making fortunes for their authors, some claiming that everyone should drink cider vinegar or live on a totally plant-based diet, or whatever. The list is endless. Some people can do very well drinking cider vinegar. Some people should never eat meat. Some should never eat certain sorts of fish. But this is something that each person has to discover for themselves. No cure really is infallible for everyone. A short synopsis of the history of this planet's people is interesting, as it concerns every aspect of life as it is lived today. And in any case, the history of the European people of this world going back as it does, only about 5,000 years or so, very much concerns the sort of people you have today and the sorts of foods their ancestors have eaten, which has a direct effect upon the sorts of foods their descendants become allergic to in later centuries. Today, the vexing problem of meat, fish, eggs, cheese, and all manner of products is argued constantly, and no one can agree as to what the true answer is. As things are at the moment, it does not seem of particular importance whether people eat meat or not, but there are many facts which humanity ought to know and realise, or with this fact alone they will surely destroy themselves in only a few centuries. Humanity is unfortunately selfish and greedy, and if it likes delicious meat of all sorts and kinds, it gorges itself until the inevitable sickness of all manner of kinds results. Vegetarians thereafter point a finger of scorn upon the suffering and state that everyone who eats meat becomes ill, suffers from heart disease, hardening of the arteries, and all other known results of excessive meat eating. This is the point, excessive meat eating. Excessive vegetarian eating has other side effects, just as unpleasant and in the long run worse than the effects of overindulgence in meat and all allied foods. Everyone also complains about the wickedness of killing another creature for food, how the poor beast must suffer, and what can be done to minimize this suffering. Some creatures throughout the world are indeed killed in a thoroughly inhumane way, and hopefully with advanced knowledge as the years progress, this will cease, and all peoples of all races will come to see the folly of mindless cruelty to animals in any way whatsoever. The basic fact is that all creatures are reincarnated again and again, sometimes almost as soon as they die, and by the very nature of the way in which creation works, there must be more and more edible types of animal as population of the planet increases. If you reduce the numbers of domestic animals and even household pets dramatically, it will, and does in many years, begin to have a severe effect on humanity itself. And you notice how expensive vets have become, and that they're treating animals with things like chemotherapy, which to me is demonic. The fact that we give here the facts that we give here are simply truths, and scientists will never be able to discover for themselves, because some of the entities that exist within all living bodies are so small, and many exist on another structure or dimension in any case, and so can never be seen with the aid of a microscope. All the creatures live upon each other, and that is the way that everything has been carefully worked out and designed. And no matter how revolting or disgusting some sensitive civilized people view this fact, the basic design of nature can never be changed, and those who try to live against the laws of nature only destroy themselves and all too often others as well. All things are designed in the same way, even the universe itself, the planets, the human body, and all the bodies of all living things bear relation to this fact. All planets are controlled by the mysterious central area, which is fire, and many forces too complicated to describe here. Within the head of all intelligent insects, human beings, and all other living creatures that bear relation to each other is the central mysterious area within the head, and this contains the entity or soul of all creatures and every creature. Even the smallest insect has some sort of an entity or indestructible soul, which passes from one lifetime to another, in yet another body of one sort or another. No creature can live without the vegetation which surrounds it, and all the other creatures upon which it relies for its very sustenance, and humanity is just exactly the same. I might mention that I saw something on the television the other day. They were saying that in some part in South America, they have decided to spray against mosquitoes. They then discovered that all the rats were dying, and then the cats were dying. So everything has a symbiotic relationship, and we really shouldn't interfere with it. There are ways that we can deal with things like mosquito, but there's a very interesting thing about mosquito blood in the treatment of cancer. So we have to find ways of dealing with these things and not trying to wipe them out and interfere with the way nature is. The human body, which is the ultimate of creation as far as this world and its living creatures are concerned, again has the central or mysterious area within the central part of the brain, and no one will ever come to completely understand this area of the brain. It revolves constantly, as does the central part of the planet, and this revolving creates power. Just as all mechanics and creators of machinery in the modern world know that the simple basic electricity is created by the revolution of a wheel, power is created in this way, and so indeed does it power the human body, just the same, with a sort of electricity which is peculiar to the human body, but differing in frequency, just as there are different frequencies of electricity in other forms and ways. This, however, is not the only thing that powers the very complicated human body, besides the blood, nerves, and chemicals of one sort or another, and impulses constantly working to keep it alive. There are also computerized entities which also exist throughout the body, throughout the body's various systems, and these are very important, and without these no human being could exist. Animals are exactly the same, also domestic pets such as cats and dogs, and it's known that people who keep healthy, and this is all important fact, healthy domestic pets that are clean and well cared for are basically better in health and happier in themselves than most people who do not. They seem to suffer less from heart diseases and all the various nervousness that people who keep no animals, even though perhaps their homes are rather cleaner and more clinically beautiful than their animal-loving friends. Animals do create dirt, but here again common sense so often lacking in sweeping generalizations made by those who hate to see a small dog or cat making an untidy mess in a scrupulously tidy home. To keep a living world alive, there must be millions or even billions of people unseen, and also entities that act like messengers and help to power living bodies. Animals create, as do humans, minute entities that live within all the bodies, within all their bodies, and no human being can create enough without the help of animals. To explain exactly how these entities are transferred from animal bodies to human bodies would be too complicated to explain, but it is a true and important fact. Do away with domestic animals altogether, and a dramatic increase of all manner of ailments amongst the population would result. Domestic pets do help their owners in all manner of peculiar ways, not only emotionally but physically as well. Eating meat also helps to recreate these tremendously important minute entities within the body, but of course, as with everything else, sensibly controlled amounts. Vegetables, nuts, or whatever simply do not contain the precious ingredients that create these minute entities that must live within the body of most people. Some people seem to be healthier without meat, but this is because they live in a world of meat eaters. If all domestic animals were done away with, a very dramatic change would soon begin to make itself felt. Actually, I was staying with a friend down in Devon, and it's a very countrified area, which I just completely love. And we were going to this folk festival, and as we went, we had to stop because the cows were coming back from milking. And my friend said to her daughter who was driving the car, we could turn round and go back another way. She said, no, I like to watch them. And I thought just how lovely it was. And the cows take their time, you know, they come across from the milking parlour and they have a little chew of the hedge here, a little chew of the hedge there. And it was a lovely, calm thing to watch. All animals are so extraordinary and have extraordinary things that they do and are all part of us. So there you go. Right, that's the end of that, Miles.